After Donald Trump delivered what I thought was the worst press conference of his entire term so far yesterday, I didn't really think the bar could get any lower until I woke up and saw Trump was speaking in front of the UN. And I knew that he was going to take the opportunity to do what he always does, and that is embarrass our entire country in front of the world. And he lived up to that. Donald Trump not only couldn't read most of the time, was melting down, but after he was laughed at, decided to attack world leaders. It was a disaster speech that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into the moments in which Trump was laughed at and then started yelling at and attacking world leaders, I want to start with where he began whining about how he didn't get to build the UN building.
Many years ago, a very successful real estate developer in New York, known as Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. It would be beautiful. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. You're going to have mahogany walls. They're going to give you plastic. But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time, and which actually produced a far inferior product. And I realized that they did not know what they were doing when it came to construction, and that their building concepts were so wrong.
Are we being serious right now? I gotta stop asking that question, because of course we are. He is not serious, but he is serious about this complaint. Donald Trump can only ever think about himself. He is speaking before all of the leaders of the world, and he's focused on a building he didn't get to build years ago. This is our president somehow. He is in complete cognitive decline. It has only somehow made his narcissism worse, which I can't even begin to understand. But the embarrassment that this is for us, it is painful to watch. That this is how everyone else perceives us around the world. That Donald Trump went in there today with his grievance, with his little crybaby attitude, and decided that he wanted to pretend that he was a tough guy while whining the whole time. But no, he did try to play off the tough guy act with this ridiculous nonsense right here.
I'm feeling a lot safer. Crime, we're getting crime down. And by the way, speaking of crime, Washington, D.C. was the crime capital of America. Now it's after 12 days, it's a totally safe city. Everyone's going out to dinner. They're going out to restaurants. Your wife can walk down the middle of the street with or without you. Nothing's going to happen. My people have done a fantastic job. And yes, I called in the National Guard, and the National Guard took care of business. And they weren't politically correct, but they took care of business. We got 1,700 career criminals out, brought them back to where they came from, the countries where they came from, or put them in jails. Washington, D.C. is now a totally safe city again, and I welcome you to come. In fact, we'll have dinner together at a local restaurant, and we'll be able to walk. We don't have to go by an armor-plated vehicle. We'll walk right over there from the White House.
Embarrassment is really the only word I can think of. And this speech is about to get so much worse, so go ahead and buckle up. But I really don't know what to say. He wants to act like he's tough in front of a group of world leaders who do not respect him for his fundamental weakness in the face of authoritarians. Donald, do you think you can have a summit with Putin in which you welcome him onto U.S. soil, literally roll out the red carpet, decide you're going to be his little baby bitch, and then go and yell and rant and rave about the National Guard in D.C., and everyone will walk out of the UN building going, whoa, that Trump guy is pretty tough. Oh, I'm pretty scared. No, you capitulate over and over and over again to dictators. Your tariffs don't work, and no one wants to negotiate with you because they know you're weak, and you think you can just go in, rant about being a failed developer, all your bankruptcies, and the fact that you sent the National Guard after, I don't even know who in D.C. The monuments? Were you afraid that Mr. Lincoln was going to get up and leave? It is idiocy. And it only got worse because the teleprompter went out, and Donald Trump, as we know, doesn't read too well, as we saw yesterday, and that moment was a little embarrassing, and I want to take a look.
and I don't mind making the speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Now, I don't know if they're laughing at Trump because they know he's an idiot or know what's coming next after watching acetaminophen, that pronunciation journey yesterday. But yet Trump had to then read from his notes, and we know he doesn't do well with text that isn't like size 36 font. And so he struggled for the rest of the speech, but what he didn't struggle with was the off-the-cuff remark just attacking other countries. Of course, that wasn't written in, but listen to what a deranged Trump had to say.
When your prisons are filled with so-called asylum seekers who repaid kindness, and that's what they did, they repaid kindness with crime, it's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
Your countries are going to hell. That'll really bring the world together. Your countries are going to hell? Why? Why does he do this? Why does he have to behave that way? Why do we have to endure this? Why am I sounding like I'm talking about a child that's misbehaving? Because our president is a child who's misbehaving. And it didn't stop there. Donald Trump decided he wanted to rant and rave about the mayor of London and Sharia law.
And I have to say, I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained.
What a terrible mayor. And I think they're bringing in the Sharia. I don't know what that means, but it sounds bad. Like, this is how he appears to everyone. And I want to make it very clear, since we're talking about this international politics setting, this international relations setting, one of the main reasons that Donald Trump has been so furious with the mayor of London, besides, his blatant racism, is that the mayor of London has been a staunch advocate for the Palestinian people. And as we have just seen Canada, France recognize a Palestinian state, something that, of course, Donald Trump will never do because he doesn't want to recognize the humanity in children who are being slaughtered, and that, of course, is being paid for by our tax dollars. It is important to know why Donald Trump hates the mayor of London so much. Like I said, the racism, but also because he's talking about the genocide happening in Gaza, something Donald Trump, one, doesn't care about, but, of course, is too actively participating in, because that's what this administration does. It doesn't matter where the kids are in the world. He doesn't care if they're dying, because that's Donald Trump. What his mind is really focused on is the big issue of the day. It's not genocide, it's windmills. Take a look.
Energy is another area where the United States is now thriving like never before. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. They're too expensive. They're not strong enough to fire up the plants that you need to make your country great. The wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad, so expensive to operate.
I can't even imagine having to sit there and being a world leader who is focused on what is best for their country and showing up to this dignified forum of diplomacy and hearing, well, we don't like the windmills and I think they don't look good, from the President of the United States. I know this past election was fundamentally about affordability. Donald Trump says that immigration also helped win him the election. But I wish and I hope in 2028 we think about wanting our lives back from politics. Now, I think no matter if we had a Democratic or a Republican president, I would want to be as engaged. I know Trump makes it easier to have to follow all the insane batshit news all the time, but I think that sign that I see at a lot of protests, which is funny, but says, if Kamala were president, we'd be at brunch. is not the approach that we should have to our politics. Just because we had a Democratic president doesn't mean that we shouldn't be engaged, right? If we had a Democratic president, we know that fascism wouldn't be taking over, but we'd still want to stay engaged. But we wouldn't want to be, pestered and constantly just like poked at with our politics. And that's what Donald Trump does. I think that we want to get our lives back, not just from this guy, but this cult-like movement. And that is something that I'd like to see someone run on in 2028, just like, let's get our lives back, people. Especially the lives that are being lost because of Donald Trump in the war in Ukraine he was complaining about.
In the event that Russia is not ready to make a deal to end the war, then the United States is fully prepared to impose a very strong round of powerful tariffs, which would stop the bloodshed, I believe, very quickly. But for those tariffs to be effective, European nations, all of you are gathered here right now, would have to join us in adopting the exact same measures.
He really doesn't ever shut up, does he? He just doesn't shut up. He just doesn't shut up. I just like him to go away. How many more months of this do we have? It's hard. After watching that press conference yesterday and into this, I just don't really know what to say. Besides, I'm tired of the complaints and the lies.
Many others. Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. Some were going for 31 years, 2 of them, 31, think of it, 31 years. One was 36 years. One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars.
Really, at this point, can someone just say, hey, Donald, we'll give you the Nobel Peace Prize if you just go away? Like, if you just pack it in, we'll give you the little medal. Can someone who's already won one, President Obama, I'm pleading with you, just send it to Trump and say, hey, man, we'll do a little trade. I'll finish your term. You can have the Peace Prize. I'm glad that this is the state that we're in, that I'm just this tired and exhausted. But you know what? We'll keep up the rants and the rambles. Some people might not like them. I hope you do. We're going to keep calling out the bullshit administration. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to become a supporter of my Substack, a free supporter or a paid supporter, you can click the link below or right here. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. Until next time, I'll see you soon.